Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Explode, your expert biz show. I'm here with the one and only Shawn Neff. How you doing, Shawn?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. I already had a tour of your barn where you are right now. I feel really privileged, guys. You missed the tour, so you will need to visit in person with in Michigan, right?
Yes, Michigan. Yep.
In Michigan, fantastic. So today we are talking about how to generate multiple streams of revenue, seven streams of revenues in your life, having multiple businesses. You are a serial entrepreneur, and I will. We're going to pick your brain on how you arrive, where you arrive, how you run your businesses. So, but before we go into the tactical part, what's your story? How did you get in that beautiful barn, doing this interview, running all these businesses? What happened?
What happened? You get to a point in your life and you look back and you go, oh my gosh, I've created all these things and I'm managing. I'm like, literally, people would look at my life and they say, you're like juggling a circus. I'm like, oh, yeah, like a three-ring circus, but I'm actually the master of my three-ring circuses. And I actually have, my husband and I, who've been married for 17 years, have developed seven streams of revenue, both independently and collectively. And I myself do coaching and consulting to help entrepreneurs grow multiple streams of revenue and really break through those barriers mentally and numbers wise to get to the next level in their business. But we also own a world-class equestrian center or facility here in Michigan that we run as a business. And I'm also a purse designer and an accessory designer of luxury accessories for women who aren't afraid to stand out. So that's a whole new business for myself. And so for us, it was just like adding one piece on top of another. And when we got good at one thing, it was like, how do we grow? What's next? What else is possible? What would I love to do? And so for us, it happened very organically. And it was just in the last year that we looked back at our life and said, wow, other people want to know how we've done what we've done to build a seven-figure net worth and to have staff and to have team and to have support and to simultaneously run seven different streams of very different kind of revenue is quite an acrobatic act, really. And so in my coaching business, I teach people how to actually do that and how to systematically make decisions so that you can add more revenue streams.
That's absolutely fantastic. I know that for people that cannot see, if you're listening to the audio interview, you're gonna miss this. But if you're watching the video, I've seen like the handbag that you had with you when one of your products.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, ladies out there, I'm sure you will love this piece of handbag.
Yes. So this was an inspiration of mine. We use embossed leather, which is made out of the beef industry, which is it's a very sustainable industry. We go through, a lot of cattle for our food production, and then mixing with exotic skins of other things like python and stingray, which is also a meat industry, actually. And so really helping to bring our styles alive and helping to accessorize ourselves in a way that is really authentic has been this new business for myself, and it's EQ Posh Purses, and it's been wonderful. So learning manufacturing and wholesaling and distribution and all of those things at the moment.
So what are all your businesses? Tell me all your businesses. So you have the seven businesses. Go for it. You have the coaching and consulting.
Coaching and consulting. We have a storage facility that you could imagine 43,000 square feet, which is like 3 football fields or lacrosse fields underneath a roof where we store boats, cars, and RVs. We have properties that we manage. We have rental income. We have EQ Posh Purses, and we've got the equestrian facility, and then we also have some other investment sort of income that we have going on.
Fantastic. So the question becomes, how do you juggle all of that? Because, a lot of people, they get overwhelmed, frustrated, just with not even one business, but half a business. Now
Right.
you're running 7.
7. And 3 are actual like money in, money out, like major money in, major money out, and
Yeah.
some deliverables in the business. The most intensive business that we have is actually our equestrian facility, because we've got 10 high-end horses that need to be cared for. It's like having 12, 1,200-pound toddlers that need to be dressed and undressed and taken out. And so that's the most labor-intensive business that we have. And so making sure that we've had to really make sure that what I call is the wheels have to stay on my bus. And that means like I imagine my life like a luxury motorhome going down the expressway. And all of my team and my people and my container is all got to be in alignment. The catastrophe comes when the wheel falls off the bus or your employee leaves, or you have to prepare yourself for those things and make sure that you have emergency plans in place so that when the wheels do fall off your bus, and they will, that you can handle it and you've got a plan in place.
Okay, what has been your the lowest moment in your entrepreneurial journey when you were building those businesses? What has been the lowest moment?
That's an interesting question. The lowest moment in all of our business has been the disappointment that things don't happen as quickly as you think they should, nor as easily as you want them to happen. And that's happened with all of our businesses. But what I know is that the perseverance that you have to say, no matter what, we're going to work through this and find the solution. It's always about finding the next possible solution for the problem and being solution oriented, in discovering that every disappointment is a new opportunity to be really like creative and problem solve to what really wants to happen within your businesses.
And can you give me a particular example where you had to use this creativity in a moment where almost like not only one wheel was falling off the bus, but it felt like all 4 wheels were falling off, right? Yeah, right.
Sure. Just recently in our equestrian business here, and our daughter is a very high level equestrian, and I have what I call 3 Porsches. So it would be like, if you don't know how to drive a Porsche, which I don't, it would be terrifying. I have 3 horses here that are like driving Porsches, and you need like daily support to drive this sort of high level animal. And we had to let go of one of our employees, which was very heartbreaking because things happened in her life and she made some bad choices, and we knew it was not on brand for our business, the choices that she had made, and that we had to terminate. But that left me with like 2 wheels falling off my bus. And so scrambling and finding solutions with support and people around me to say, okay, can you fill in the gaps, stabilize the bus, and then let's reach out to even better possibilities of solutions. And I made a lot of phone calls, and I talked to a lot of people, and I have actually hired a new trainer whose mother went to the Pan Am Games, which is, and she is a world-class trainer herself, and it is a really big deal in Northern Michigan to have that. But a month and a half, we were all like, did we make the right, you knew in your bones you made the right decision, but it was hard. And being okay as an entrepreneur with the hard, and being okay with your wheels falling off your bus sometimes, and going, this is the best I can do. The wheels have fallen off my bus, but I know that better things are coming. And being okay with that is the number one skill, I think, that is life-changing for entrepreneurs.
Thank you for sharing. And now let's go to the best moment. What has been like the moment where it doesn't matter how big or small, where you felt, oh my God, this is my best entrepreneurial moment ever. Doesn't matter how big or small.
I In my consulting business, in my private consulting business, I work with the most incredible entrepreneurs. And sometimes when we start, a lot of times our lives are a hot mess. Like the wheels of their life have fallen off their bus and they've lost the passion and they can't find the focus and they're having trouble delegating. And in a moment in my business this year, my client said to me, she goes, I've gone from a hot mess to purchasing $1 million software company and having great success and also having 4 other streams of revenue and staying married, which was all part of this equation that 6 months prior didn't even seem possible in her life. And so for me as a mentor to someone and to walk in some of those most challenging parts of your life and your business, you don't always hire a mentor because things are going great. You're hiring a mentor because you're stuck up against a brick wall. And to help people walk that and bridge that and move through that is the most rewarding, I get tears in my eyes. It's like, I am so grateful that I get to wake up every morning and do that and help people move through that and develop solutions and learn how to think differently. And those are the most incredible moments.
And how do you combine then business and family? Because, first of all, what struck me about your story is that you said your husband is also a business partner in some of the businesses that you run.
Yes.
And, one of the advice that has been given to many entrepreneurs is don't do business with your family. Don't do business with your spouse. Like, that's a recipe for divorce.
Right.
So, how did you manage to build all this empire while also maintaining a thriving relationship?
So, just to add on to that, I'm also business partners with my parents. We are half owners in in our storage facility. We live on the
With the
same
parents?
with my parents, yeah. And then
Oh my God. Okay.
my sister and I are going to be business partners in EQ Purses, and my husband doesn't know anything that goes on in my consulting business, and we've kept it that way. It's like, these are my books, these are my investments, the coaches I hire, he's supportive, but he doesn't want to know like how much it costs, and it's fine. We're separate in that entity. And then he has his own separate entities, that the properties that I assist with, but I'm not partners in, so we collaborate. And then in the business that we are partners in, he is kind of like the anchor, and I'm kind of like the hot air balloon. So we're a great balance in vision versus reality and mixing in between about what is really the next right step for us. But we were nearly divorced 7 years ago. So this has had to take a lot of personal development to really find this in our relationship and with our kids.
And what is your biggest advice for other families that might go through a similar time that you had to go through 7 years ago, where, growing the businesses, almost on the brink of a divorce, but both of you managed somehow to keep things together? And
Yes.
the reason why I'm interested in this, it is because I got recently married, actually, is a year ago. We are having our first year anniversary literally from the moment we are recorded this interview in less than 2 weeks. So
Wow, congratulations.
really, really excited about this. And at the same time, we are figuring out what are our boundaries. Where are we? Are we going to do business together? Are we not going to do business together? Shall we? And these are conversations that are happening because she has her own business. I have my own business. We collaborate sometimes, but we want to make sure that our family does not going to suffer from
Yeah.
business decisions that we make, because we've seen so many of my friends really successful, 7 figures, 8 figure business. Their personal life is crap, and I don't want to become one of those persons. So, what was your biggest advice that helped you go through and put things together again?
To separating finances, and especially as a woman, my husband had a lot of wealth when I married into this family, and I felt like the dynamic, the archetype, if you want to put it into that word, kind of king servant. And what I understood in our relationship is that I wasn't acting like the queen. I was acting more like the princess. And so I had to change some things in myself to go, okay, we've got to develop equanimity, which means I need to develop my own wealth. And I literally started my business so that I could get divorced. But what I found was that when I self-generated my own money, my husband respected me more. I respected myself more. I was much more independent instead of interdependent.
Yeah.
And it changed the dynamic of our marriage. And so what I suggest to my clients is that having 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 is yours, 1/3 is hers, 1/3 is the collective of the financial pot, so that you can have equanimity in your relationship financially, and that will save a lot of headaches in the long run.
I'll take this advice. Thank you for sharing. I'll take it. Still new, so I gotta learn. I don't wanna make those mistakes that I'm going to regret in the future. So I'm glad that we are. From what you said, it seems we are on the right track. Because my business is my business. Her properties and her investments are her business. Is her business. But then we have the family money which we put in together, which is for us to enjoy, for us to go on holiday, for us to live on, or then investment that is going to be for us. But what I loved about this relationship is that we don't need each other.
Absolutely.
And
good start.
It's like I'm happy by myself, she's happy by herself. Right. Together we are happier.
Right. Yes.
So it felt like a good start.
The other word of wisdom for entrepreneurs who have both spouses in relationships and in business is that time apart is wonderful and really imperative. So my husband just got back from a 2-week motorcycle trip by himself. I'm leaving in June for a week-long trip by myself. He probably takes 6 weeks by himself a year. I probably take 4 or 5. We travel with the family together. And that allows the freedom of your relationship to grow and expand. And it's a different concept when you're working together and have these different entities. Mm-hmm. So as 7 streams of revenue is really my expertise. And so I talk about what's your millionaire blueprint. And so you guys have 2 different sort of generating entities. And then maybe together you start and develop another business. Maybe it's a clothing line. Maybe it's a product. Maybe it's something that you guys really see that, this would really be an expansion of our brand, but it's not in the same pot.
I loved it. That's what a great start of the interview. So now let's talk about, because that's what you mentioned right now, about the 7 ways of generating revenues. So let's say about someone is already a coach, a consultant, a speaker, and they are having clients and their business is growing. So a big advice for a lot of people is to, like, if your business is growing, put the focus on your business instead of putting too soon focus on other activities, because otherwise you're becoming distracted, and that's a big problem in entrepreneurship. So the first question I have for you is, when is the right moment? Where do you feel is the right moment, if there is ever a right moment, to say, okay, I'm going to start something so different, a business so different, so completely separate, to grow another stream of revenue, but not at the expense of the other one that is growing?
Right. So my advice would be that marker is about 250,000 when your first business kind of gets to that place. And you can look at it and say, 1, do I want to grow it anymore? 2, what else do I want to do with my life? 3, do I want to scale? What level do I want to scale this to? And 4, how do I want to spend my time? I thrive on being able to be creative. Not everyone thrives on that. And the other thing that you have to look at when you have a revenue stream, that you've got to make sure all the wheels are on your bus, and you've got to make sure that your teams are working, that your procedures are in place, your delegation is smooth and clear and effective, that you can spot problems a mile away. Because just because you develop another stream of revenue does not mean that you will not be in your business taking a peek at the insides of it and going, okay, is the oil changed? Are things running? Are the emissions working? And I don't know why I'm giving car analogies today, but for some reason, how is it really being aware? Like today, I was at my manufacturing business, and we were assessing the new sewing machine that I got in because it was making grooves inside the leather. And so we were changing out the presser foot. I had an expert come in to look at it. We were changing out the base. So just because you have to be in your business and make sure that you can find solutions. And we got on tech support and said, okay, what's happening? Why are we getting these grooves in the leather? They're like, well, you need a different base. So these are things that I, as a business owner, need to handle for productivity. It's like my girls weren't able to get it done. So I'm like, oh, okay. This is something that I need to step in and make some decisions, get some solutions handled. And so making sure that you're really clear how things are working and how you're going to scale, and if you want to scale, are the first steps. And then the second thing is finding, all of us have ideas. I have all of my clients do a poster board, which I call it their Post-it note board, with all of their ideas. Some are valid, some are great, and some are terrible. But let's write each one down and put it on the board and say, okay, is this a viable business? Because even though it's a good idea, but does not mean that that next revenue stream is a viable business. Mm-hmm. Someone may have already done it. It might take, the resources it might take to get that up and going might be more than you're prepared to do. So you've really got to look at the viability. So those are the first 2 steps.
Really enjoying this conversation. So you mentioned the fact of having this step number 1, to be clear about your life and to be clear about what is that you want to experience. And it feels to me that in particular it works for you, because then you are not restricting yourself in a box of I'm a business owner of this business, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But you're actually saying, you're setting the mark not too high to when you are creating even another one, because £250,000 is a nice business, is not a big business. So then at that point you can say, okay, do I want to grow that to 7 figures? Do I want this to stay a multiple 6-figure business? So I find that you don't have to start thinking about other businesses or revenue stream to have a 7 or 8-figure business before you move on to another one, because it would take you much longer to create also that kind of business. And in particular, if you are someone like yourself, which incredibly creative, thrive seeing things like spring and flourish, and then it works incredibly well. So in terms of management, now let's look at the management part, because one thing is the idea, and ideas, and I remember someone saying, I don't remember who, but I think someone very wise says that ideas are worth nothing, which is all about the implementation. Because you can have the most amazing ideas, but if you're not getting executed well, right? So how do you manage the businesses that you have created? What processes and systems, what kind of checklist do you have to make sure that happens?
Let me refine your question. Yeah. Is the question, how do I explore other revenue streams in a systematic way? Is that your question?
Oh, the question was, how do you manage the one that you have? And then the next question would have been that one. But first I want to see, now you have all these 7. Right. So how do you make sure that this 7 runs smoothly And
Okay.
what are you doing daily? Actually, that's the question. What are you doing daily to make sure that those 7 run smoothly? Then we're going to explore how to systematically find more.
Okay.
Cool.
So what I do daily, and I don't do daily. In my consulting business, it's a daily touch in. I am very fierce about a segmented blocked calendar, and I work on one business one day. So if I'm going to work in another business, because it takes 20% of your mental energy and physical energy to shift focus to a different business. So if I'm going to work on my Ecoposh purses, that's what I'm going to do generally in the day. I'm going to fiercely focus on that. If I'm going to be consulting, I have my clients lined up in one day. If I'm going to be being a mom, I block off that time so that I can be a mom. If I'm going to work in the storage facility, that my children help my husband run that with my parents. If I need to, I can go drive the tractor and move a boat around. I can. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I kind of touch in that one,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that one's seasonal. So that would be, everything comes in October and leaves in May.
yeah.
So there's really creating mental focus on what you're focusing on and how to manage, check in and touch in each business, not only daily, but seasonally and weekly. So really getting systematic in your calendar
So
works
when you're
really.
blocking your time, because I've been using time blocking for a while, love
Mhm.
it, absolutely
Yes.
love it, changed my life. Oh my God, I got so much more time now. And what do you block first in terms of time? When you create your calendar, what are the things that you block first, and what are the things that then take a second?
Yeah. Great question. My kids, I block my relationship with my kids. So I will go through for 6 months and I blocked out all of my daughter's horse shows and I blocked out all of my son's hockey tournaments. And so those are primary. And then I create my my flow of progression through my businesses. Like for my Ecoposh purses, I'm not going to ramp up to full time until October because I want to spend the summer with my children and my husband. We want to play. And so really knowing energetically how much time I actually have and what's the energy that I have available. I've got everything in place so that I'm refining design so that manufacturing can start in October when my children are back to a rhythmic school schedule.
Yep.
And I have wrapped up some big consulting programs, and all of our storage facility is tucked inside, and all of our rental income for the summer is kind of complete.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think there are 2 resources, guys. If you're for those of you that are listening right now, 2 great books to read. One is The One Thing, and the other one is the 12-week year, and they
Yep.
both talk about time blocking, how to prioritize the different things. So I'm not gonna spend much more time talking about that because Shawn, you covered that already. So guys, get the books, The One Thing, the 12-week year, great resources to understand time blocking and also to manage your life more effectively. So now we're transitioning into how do you systematically find the other revenue stream? Because it feels like you have a system.
I do kind of actually have a system. So what I work with my clients on is one, okay, so you have this idea, then we have to research viability. Is it viable? What's it going to cost to do? What is this, a service? Is it a product? What is this? Do your market research and see who else is doing this. Then figure out why you can do it better. Because that's really the question. Why you? Why would people buy from you? Well, these are the things that I want to include to make this better. And then what I have found is we don't have to go all in. So what I like to do is do some exploration. And so if that's building a product, pay someone to prototype it for you. That's the first start. If you have an idea of a product, say, okay, I'm going to find the right person to prototype out my idea and bring you back your idea and say, oh, this is a really good idea. Or say, you know what, that didn't work out quite what I was thinking, but I'm on the right track. And then from the prototype, then you can go, okay, let's refine what I'm seeing, and then pay them to do that, contract them to do that. An expert in the field, find the best in the field and have them do that. And then from there you can go, okay, I've got a really cool idea. I'm going to show it to other people and see what they think. And this is primarily for a product, but you can do this for a service. You can try this out on people. So what do people think? Does it feel good to them? Does it look good? What are their suggestions? How would they change it? Refine your idea a bit, get some input, and then go, okay, what will you pay for this? So this is a systematic process that I have that kind of goes again and again. And then if they say, well, this is what I would pay for this, and this is the value, and you've done your numbers, and you can kind of feel that out. And you've got to get really good at numbers. It's like being a business is about having a profit. This is not a charity, right? So getting comfortable talking about numbers and how that evolves, and ask for experts, get your accountant in there and say, okay, what do you think? And your lawyer and say, what do you think? And they're going to go, well, these are the things that I think we need to shift and change. And then you go, okay, I'm going to do a batch of experiment. And then batch it out, experiment, sell it, see what needs to be tweaked, get the feedback. And then you say, okay, people are liking this. Now I'm going to create the platform to market it.
And how long does it take from idea to, of course, it's like how long is a piece of string? Every business will be different. But if you have an average time, think about the clients you work with from idea to completion, how long is that process?
If you're being mentored, 9 to 12 months.
Yeah.
If you're not being mentored, it
might
be years, right? That's right. It might be a year, years. Because people get stuck in like, what is my next step?
Yeah.
They don't know how to make those. And what I do is I actually teach my clients how to systematically think, and so that you can start to ask those questions for yourself and figure out, oh, my next step is to stabilize what's going on, or my next step is to organize my logistics, or my next step is to delegate. It's the same thing every single time. Never fails. It came from my paramedic background. I mean, I had to make life and death decisions on 3 to 5 seconds. I had to make a decision. Mm-hmm. So you've got to learn how to make decisions in the moment.
Now let's move to the last part of the interview, and that's where we are talking about lifting the veil. That's where I'm going to ask you one thing that you're using in your life, that you're doing in your life, on your business, can be on operational level, sales or marketing level, that other people should know about, that our listeners should know about. It works so well. It's like, oh my God, guys, I'm in love with these things. You should do it. What is that thing for you?
Oh, you're going to be surprised, I think, actually. The best investment I made in my business and myself was to hire a personal stylist. Yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me more. You know what? No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not that surprised just because I've hired a personal stylist too. But why? Tell me more.
Why? I had such a personal stylist looks at you, your life, how you like to show up. It helps what's on the inside show up on the outside, and in a way that's authentic to you. And my style always used to feel very, I would call it schizophrenic. Like I had bits and pieces of this, and it was just very schizophrenic. And when the moment I hired a personal stylist and she said, well, this is your personal style, and this is how you should dress, and these are the things that you need to weave into your wardrobe, it completely changed the framework of my business, my relationships, my marriage, my connections, my confidence, and my money.
I like that.
Yeah.
I remember I think it was at the beginning of when I started. I was pretty lucky. I had a friend, and he is an image consultant.
Yes.
So before I didn't have the goatee. I was completely shaved. What are you laughing about? What are you laughing at? Whoa! That's
I can see the vision.
with this like huge hippie trousers and this flower vest. And I
Oh
was
yes,
wondering why my business wasn't growing.
right.
Right? And then he said, listen, Simone, you're quite a smart, bright guy. You're an action taker. If you keep going dressed like that, no one is ever going to buy from you. And I was like, and I was very resistant at first because for me
Right.
it was like, oh, I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to change my identity. But actually, I was doing harm to what I wanted to achieve, to my career
Yeah.
as a speaker, as a coach, as a mentor. And he said, "Okay, grow your hair." And so I got my curls back. Then he said, "Okay, you need to grow a goatee." I said, "Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna grow the goatee." And
Right.
then he said, "I had this funky hat," and he said, "No, you need to get rid of the hat." I was like, really? The hat as well? Okay, I got rid of the hat. And then I had this long white scarf that was going down like literally to my knees. Yes, exactly. Wow. Right?
Wow.
And then he said, no, you gotta get rid of the scarf. And I was like, but no, but it means so much to me. I need to get rid of it. And it was literally a process of self-transformation because I had to create a new identity for myself during that process, a new image for myself. Time
Yes.
4 months, my business
Yeah.
tripled. And I was like,
Yes. Yes. So
whoa.
I guess yes. Whoa. It's the secret to, and I wouldn't say that you have to create a new identity. I think it's really embodying your true identity so that you can show up in your most brilliant way. For you, you had to you kind of maybe felt fractured from your hippie lifestyle to your high, powerful speaker lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I had my farm wardrobe and my high end fundraiser wardrobe, and I had so I was for me that was the schizophrenic part, but huge, not a big investment, but a life changing experience as for any entrepreneur.
Guys, get an image consultant. You're listening right
Yeah,
now. Get a
yeah,
lifestyle, like a life makeover, whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
image consultant. Get it because it's going to make a huge difference. It's been a wonderful interview, Shawn. I loved it. Full of golden nuggets from the relationship part to your story to the way you grow your businesses, the way you manage them, the way you find new opportunities of investment. So if people want to reach out to you and they say, I want to be mentored by Shawn, she's the one for me, or they want to start getting to know your content better, where they can go?
ShawnNeff.com. So it's you'll post the link below,
Yeah,
I'm
it's gonna be the
sure.
link. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just opt in to my list. I would love to have you on my list. I give lots of golden nuggets there, and I really teach you actually my tips to delegating with confidence. Is really an offer that you can have right now today, and really hear more about how you can handle that with your teams. And we can set up a time to just have a conversation. I am all about building relationship based businesses and conversations. And so we just get on the phone together and talk about how I can support you and where you're at. And we go from there. So,
Fantastic. So,
yeah.
ShawnNeff.com, you're going to have the link here in the show notes. Make sure that you opt in particular because delegation is one of the most important skills that you can
Yes.
have as a business owner because remember, you are not your expertise. You are an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. Your
Right.
product and service is your expertise. So, you will need other people in your team to work with you and
Right.
help you out in your journey. So, make sure that you opt in. Crucial skill to have. Shawn, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
I definitely will. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the show, subscribe right now. Click the juicy subscribe button straight away. And let me know with a review. Of course, 5-star. We don't expect less than that after this interview. 5-star review letting me know what did you enjoy the most about this interview. What did you got? What was your biggest learning? And up until next time, always remember that together we grow exponentially. See you next time. Ciao.